Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. Today, the canvas is crime, the brush is danger, and the title, the final artwork, Episode 1, Echoes in the Gallery. Let's uncover the truth together in this thriller special. And a brief trigger warning. The final artwork is a fictional crime series that includes depictions of blood, violence, and smoking. While the content is intended for a general audience, listener discretion is advised. Please consider your comfort level before tuning in.
Welcome back, dear listeners, to another electrifying episode of Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. This is your beloved Seymour Skinner speaking, joined, as always, by the man who keeps my chaos in check, Superintendent Gary Chalmers.
First of all, Skinner, electrifying, is a bit ambitious considering our audience probably tuned in for background noise while feeding their pet alligators. And secondly, don't call me Superintendent during the podcast. It makes me sound like I'm here to shut down a wild party.
But aren't you?
Yes, but I'd rather keep up the illusion that I'm here willingly. Laughs about his own joke.
Fair point. Now, on to today's episode. Dear listeners, Memefield is buzzing with tragedy and drama this morning. And for once, it's not because Gizmo and Mr. Jellybeans destroyed Sonic's hedges again.
Let's hope not. Sonic hasn't forgiven us for the last time. But let's stay on topic, Skinner. This time it's serious.
Ah, yes, the Meme News listeners, buckle up. Earlier today, the town woke up to a shocking headline. John Wilkes Booth, you all know him, former mayoral candidate and aspiring artistic visionary, was discovered unconscious in the Memefield Museum. But not just unconscious. He was suspended, turned into what authorities are calling an elaborate art installation.
The description is horrifying, Skinner. The poor man was found hanging from a rigging above a sculpture with wounds deliberately placed to look like brush strokes.
Call it performance art, Chalmers. The man lived for art and he died, almost died for art. Poetic, don't you think?
Skinner, this man is in a coma and you're making jokes. Booth's family is probably devastated right now.
All right. I'll dial down the cynicism. Luckily, he survived all of this, although his state is very unstable right now. But let's not ignore the fact that this whole scenario reeks of theatrics. Booth himself was all about artistic symbolism during his campaign. It's almost like someone wanted to send a message.
I don't like where this is going. You're making it sound like this was more than an assault.
Well, it's not every day you turn a political rival into a macabre exhibit. I'd say there's a flair for the dramatic here.
Flair for the dramatic. Skinner, the man's in critical condition. He's in the hospital right now, on life support.
Touché. And speaking of the hospital, listeners, here's what we know so far. Booth was rushed to Memefield General early this morning, where doctors placed him in a medically induced coma. The police have sealed off the museum, and our dear Master Chief is leading the investigation right now.
At least we know the case is in good hands. Chief doesn't miss a thing. If anyone can crack this, it's him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the man once saved Cosmo and the puppies from Robot Skinner's clutches. If he can handle that chaos, he can handle this.
I don't think those situations are comparable, but, actually, considering what Robot Skinner has done in the past, maybe you can even compare it.
And let's not forget, our dear Master Chief isn't just good at fighting villains. He also knows how to make an entrance. And speaking of which...
The phone rings live on air.
Well, who could this be? Listeners, prepare yourselves for an exclusive. I'm answering this. Hello, this is Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. You're live on air. Who's calling?
Chief. Master Chief.
Oh, Chief. Skinner, switch your mobile phone to hands, free mode. I want to hear him too. So, can I talk now?
Done. He can hear you know.
So, Chief, what's going on? Is this about Booth?
Not exactly. I just barely escaped an ambush.
An ambush? Chief, you've got our full attention. Tell us everything.
This morning, on my way to the station, I took my usual route through the South Parkway, but someone must have deliberately set a trap for me here. I was only just able to save myself.
Oh, my goodness, that sounds like a targeted attack. Are you all right?
I'm fine, The mongoose isn't.
Good thing you're the unbreakable one, huh? So, what's the plan, Chief?
First of all, I need your help. My mongoose is broken down and I'm stuck here in the woods. I have reported the incident, but I need a ride. Meet me on the B62 in the direction of Memefield Forest. You'll find me there. And bring your microphones. We need this story told right.
Sure, we will come immediately and help you out, but wait, you want us to document this for the podcast.
This is Memefield, Chalmers. Everything's a story. It also allows us to keep our residents up to date and issue hazard warnings. Now move.
Well, listeners, you heard it here first. We're heading straight into the heart of the action. Stay tuned for what might be our most thrilling episode yet.
Let's just hope we don't become part of the story.
Skinner and Chalmers decide to head straight to Master Chief, as he has ordered. They get into the car and drive off. During the half-hour drive, the same song plays in the car the whole time, because Skinner has only saved one song as an MP3 file on the SD card, and the other songs in M4 format are not recognized. Chalmers is slightly annoyed.
Look at that, Chalmers. Those skid marks could rival the time you tried to avoid Gizmo jumping into Sonic's garden again.
Let's not bring up that incident. I still have nightmares about explaining a dented car to Sonic. But you're right, Skinner. Those marks mean Chief's mongoose didn't just glide gracefully off the road.
Graceful and mongoose don't belong in the same sentence. But hey, there's Chief, right around the bend, standing as stoically as ever.
He doesn't look thrilled. Let's not provoke him, all right?
Provoke? Who, me? Chief loves my charm. Watch and learn.
Skinner pulls over, and they both get out of the car.
Chief, what's the situation? Did the mongoose survive?
Barely. And good morning to you two, Skinner and Chalmers.
Chief, are you all right? That crash looks brutal.
I'm fine. The mongoose isn't. I have already alerted the police station and reported the accident. Fortunately, the mongoose is being repaired at the city's expense. Company vehicle and all that.
Repairs. Chief, that thing looks like it kissed every tree in Memefield.
Trees don't usually punch back, Skinner.
All right, let's focus. Chief, walk us through what actually happened here. Everything seems as peaceful as ever, and then suddenly there are the skid marks and a dazed Spartan.
It started as a normal morning. I was heading to the station, taking my usual route. Then I saw it, a steel wire, stretched between those two trees up ahead.
A steel wire? What the hell? Like some amateur booby trap?
More like a professional ambush. It was chest height for someone on a mongoose. If I hadn't spotted it in time, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's horrifying. Actually, pretty horrifying. How can someone do something like that? And here in Memefield, but stretching wires between trees, well, this is really dangerous and unfortunately also happens in other forests around the world. But Chief, you managed to dodge it, though.
Barely. I swerved, but the mongoose lost traction. The next thing I knew, I was in the ditch over there.
Well, your MJOL and IR armor earns its keep again. Not a scratch on you.
The armor's built for worse. Still, this wasn't random.
You think this was deliberate? Someone targeting you?
No doubt about it. The wire wasn't carelessly placed. Someone calculated the height, tension, and position to ensure a Spartan wouldn't walk away.
Except you did. Classic Chief. So what's the plan?
I reported the incident immediately. The city council decided it was too big to ignore. With the attack on Booth and now this, they called in the FBI.
If they call the FBI, then this isn't just about Booth anymore. It's about Memefield.
And us, Chalmers. Don't forget the weekly roast exclusives we're racking up here.
Skinner, not everything's about podcast ratings. But I must admit, I'm not complaining about this treasure of stories. But still, Chief could have been killed.
And yet, he wasn't. Now we have a front row seat to the action. Chief, what's your next move?
Secure the scene, assist this new townie FBI when he arrives, and find whoever's behind this.
Spoken like a true hero. So, do you think Booth's attacker and your ambusher are connected?
It's likely. Same level of precision, same disregard for human life.
then we were dealing with someone extremely dangerous.
Dangerous, sure, but they didn't account for Memefield's finest. Right, Chief?
Let's hope this outsider FBI guy's lives up to his reputation. Now, if you're done with questions, I need to get back to the station and must initiate measures. Want to give me a ride?
Don't worry, Chief. We've got this. Hop in the car and we get you to the station in no time. In the meantime, we can update our listeners.
Let's just hope we're not updating them from a hospital bed.
Relax, Chalmers. What could possibly go wrong?
Famous last words.
Exactly. Skinner, let's go before you jinx us further.
All right. Let's get going.
As they are just making their way to the car, Chief's phone rings. Chief picks up the phone, and there speaks the mayor. Hey there, officer. It's Van Goat. I just received the reports about your incident this morning. Are you all right?
Unscathed. The mongoose, not so much. The ambush failed, but it raises questions. I was about to head back to the station.
No, don't. I need you, Skinner, and Chalmers to come to the city hall immediately. There are decisions to be made, and I want all of you here.
Skinner and Chalmers. They're not exactly traditional deputies.
I know they're with you, Chief. I heard Skinner in the background, just now talking about mongoose aesthetics. Bring them along. Memefield needs its best, or at least its most available.
Understood. We're on our way.
The trio make their way to the car and set off. Skinner is at the wheel.
I couldn't help but overhear. Van Gogh personally requested our presence. It feels good to be needed, even if it's the wish of a literal goat that loves mischief.
Or maybe we're just the only ones foolish enough to say yes. Either way, Skinner, focus on the road.
Relax, Chalmers. This baby handles like a dream.
It's a minivan Skinner, one that we were sold 12 years ago by this strange car salesman with a flannel pattern on his suit that moved with him, gesticulating strongly. Apparently, he was previously a successful ship salesman. Remember Skinner?
Oh yeah, I remember that strange guy and a well-loved minivan, honey. Show some respect to this old thing.
Respect the van all you want. Just get us to City Hall in one piece, Skinner.
At City Hall, the group enters Van Gogh's office. The mayor, voiced by the narrator, because I don't have a specific voice for them, is pacing nervously. At this point, I would like to mention that we really need a voice for Van Gogh, as often as they has appeared in the meantime. If you hear that, Van Gogh, please let me know. Anyways, in the air you can feel the tense situation. Ah, you're here. Thank you for coming so quickly.
Of course, Van Gogh. We're here to help in any way we can.
Except heavy lifting. My back's been acting up since the great golem uprising of last summer.
Focus, Skinner.
The situation is worse than we feared, Van Gogh says. Your ambush this morning wasn't just an isolated event. Combined with the attack on Booth, it's clear someone is targeting Memefield's most visible figures.
Booth, then Chief Mayor, do you think others in Memefield might be in danger too?
It's crossed my mind, Chalmers, Van Gogh says. That's why I've called this meeting. After speaking with the city council, we've decided to escalate matters. We're bringing in the FBI.
With respect, Mayor, Memefield's police force is capable of handling this investigation. We don't need federal interference.
Chief, this isn't just about capability, Van Gogh mentions. It's about perception. Too high-profile attacks in a row have shaken the public's trust. We need to show them we're doing everything possible.
I understand your position, but their methods often complicate things.
Van Gogh sits down slowly in their chair and says with clear determination, be that as it may, the decision is made. The FBI's sending their top profiler, Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
Francis York Morgan? Wait, isn't that the guy Cortana told me about once? Who reads coffee like it's a crystal ball?
Oh my, he does that. He's already a legend for me.
You call that legendary? I call that unsettling.
Unconventional as he may be, he has a reputation for results. I've reviewed his cases. He has a habit of working solo, spending hours, sometimes days, at a crime scene before allowing anyone else in. Weird guy, honestly, but it's the results that count.
Sounds like my kind of guy. Bet he's got stories for days.
Van Gogh intervenes in the conversation and remarks, He's arriving at the Memefield train station in 30 minutes. You need to pick him up. Please ensure he's briefed on everything immediately. This is our best chance to get ahead of this situation.
Understood, Mayor. We'll bring him up to speed.
And maybe we'll get a front row seat to one of his coffee readings.
Let's move. Time's ticking.
The group leaves the goat's office and says a warm goodbye with a hug, as they are good, long-time friends. Skinner closes the door. After several attempts, because the door handle is still stuck from the last goat party, and our trio make their way to the car. As they drive to the station, the conversation continues.
I still can't believe the FBI is involved now. This is Memefield, not some high-stakes action movie.
I think it's good that they reacted so quickly. After all, 2 dramatic attacks have happened. Besides, every town needs its moment in the spotlight, Chalmers. Besides, York Morgan might be exactly what we need. A touch of the dramatic to match the chaos.
Let's hope his methods deliver results.
You don't sound convinced, Chief. Afraid he'll step on your Spartan-sized toes.
I don't fear competition, Skinner. I fear inefficiency.
Well, if he's as good as his reputation, inefficiency won't be a problem. Let's just hope he doesn't spook the locals.
Spook the locals. Chalmers, we live in Memefield. This place invented spooked locals. York will fit right in.
For all our sakes, I hope you're right.
Enough speculation. We'll know soon enough. The station's just ahead.
Buckle up, folks. Our small town drama is about to meet big city expertise. This is going to be one for the books.
The group parks at the train station. The sound of a train whistle echoing in the distance as they prepare to meet York.
Well, gentlemen, here we are, early at the Memefield train station. Chief's efficiency rubbing off on us.
Efficiency? Chief dragged us out of City Hall like we were escaping a fire drill.
Time is critical. If York's reputation holds true, we'll need every second we can get.
You sound almost excited, Chief. I didn't think you were the type to fangirl over FBI agents.
I don't fangirl, Skinner. I respect results.
Let's hope those results come quickly. Whoever's behind this isn't just dangerous. They're methodical.
True, but let's be honest. They picked the wrong town to mess with. Memefield's finest are on the case.
You're calling us Memefield's finest. Skinner, the bar must be subterranean.
It's all about perspective, Chalmers. Now, who do you think's behind all this? Booth's attack, Chief's ambush. It's all connected, right?
Speculating before evidence is on the table leads to mistakes.
But mistakes are where the fun happens. Could it be Robot Skinner? He's been too quiet lately.
Your evil twin who has done bad things before in town, like destroying the neighbor's flower beds or trying to kill you. Well, he's locked in the Twitch Asylum, Skinner. Unless you're suggesting he built a drone army to operate on his behalf. Wait, no, don't answer that.
Fine. What about the old lady from Norway, Betty? She's artsy enough to turn someone into a human installation.
That's morbidly plausible, but again, we're jumping to conclusions.
And conclusions without facts are how cases fall apart.
The train whistle blows, drawing their attention.
Here we go, gentlemen. Showtime!
The train pulls into the station with a hiss of steam. Francis York Morgan steps out, wearing his usual sharp suit with a red tie and carrying a cup of coffee. He looks around with an amused expression.
Ah, small-town charm. Zach, do you feel it? The quaintness, the peeling paint, the lingering smell of overripe bananas. It's almost intoxicating.
Is Hay talking to someone?
I think so, but I don't see anyone.
Maybe he's on a headset, or is this normal FBI behavior?
There they are. Zach, I believe we found our welcoming committee.
Welcome to Memefield, Miss Dorr.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. But please call me York. That's what everyone calls me.
York, it's an honor. I'm Skinner. This here is my husband, Chalmers. And you've already met the chief of town. Literally, because he is the chief and we call him Chief.
Skinner and Chalmers, the podcast hosts. You're practically celebrities. Zach, I think we're in good company.
Thanks, York. Is Zach...
Mike Cartner. He's quiet but perceptive.
Partner, I wasn't briefed on anyone accompanying you.
Zach's not on the payroll, Chief. Don't worry, he doesn't need a badge to be invaluable. Now, let's get to work.
Straight to business. I like that. What's your first move?
Simple, it's coffee.
Wait, coffee.
Absolutely. But good investigation starts with clarity. Clarity comes from caffeine and milk, of course. I insist on pouring it myself.
Agent York, we don't have time for it.
Chief, let me ask you, has the attacker struck again since Booth's ambush and the attack on you and your mongoose?
Well, not yet.
And we have time. Our perpetrator made a bold opening move. Now they're waiting to see the response. My coffee will give us the clarity we need to make ours.
That's oddly poetic. All right, Chief, let the man have his coffee.
If this backfires, Skinner, I'm holding you personally responsible.
The group walks to a nearby bistro. York orders a coffee and insists on pouring the milk himself. Skinner and Chalmers watch with fascination as York stirs the coffee, gazing into the cup as if it holds the secrets of the universe.
Zach, look at this. The milk swirls perfectly. See that shape? The letter R, clearer than Saturn on a crisp summer night.
Did he just compare his coffee to a planet?
I love this guy. He's my type.
Skinner, are you hinting at something here that could lead to a minor marital crisis?
Don't worry, you two. I have no intention of disrupting your married life. And R, it's not definitive, but it's a very good start. Coffee never disappoints.
You're basing your strategy on a beverage.
It's more than a beverage, Chief. It's an oracle, and it's guided me through naughtier cases than this.
All right, York, you've got my vote of confidence. What's next?
We head to the scene. Zach and I need to feel the energy there. See what it tells us.
Finally, some meaningful action. Let's move.
The group piles into Skinner's minivan. York sits in the passenger seat, swirling the remnants of his coffee to go thoughtfully. Skinner starts the engine and drives off.
Skinner, do you always drive with this much personality?
Absolutely. Personality keeps things interesting.
Personality also causes accidents with him on the steering wheel sometimes.
Don't worry, Chalmers. We'll be fine. I can tell based on his behavior.
That's oddly comforting and unsettling at the same time.
Hang tight, gentlemen. Next stop, the scene of the crime.
This is where the fun begins.
And the start of our next chapter. Let's see where the coffee leads us.
You know, Chalmers, this is starting to feel like one of those detective novels. A rainy night, a shadowy museum, and a cryptic crime scene. All we're missing is dramatic thunder.
Apart from the fact that it's daytime, the sun is shining brightly and we're sitting in a minivan. So maybe keep your expectations more realistic.
Expectations are everything for the townsfolk, Chalmers. If you expect clarity, even in chaos, you'll often find it. Zach and I are quite excited for this. A museum is like a living organism. It tells stories without speaking.
Let's hope this one gives us answers quickly.
Spoken like a man who just wants to close the case. But where's the art in that?
I agree with Skinner. Solving a case is an art form in itself. The arrangement of evidence, the brushstrokes of logic, it all comes together like a masterpiece.
Just as long as it doesn't come together in the form of us becoming suspects.
The group exits the car and approaches the museum, where Amalia Stern stands waiting. She is sharply dressed, with a scarf draped dramatically over her shoulders. Ah, you must be Chief York and the podcast duo, Skinner and Chalmers, is it? Says Dr. Stern.
Guilty as charged. And you must be the infamous Dr. Amalia Stern.
Infamous, Dr. Stern says. I prefer celebrated, but I'll take infamous. Art should provoke, after all.
Provocation is one thing, but turning Booth into an installation seems excessive, even for Memefield.
Oh, believe me, I would never condone such an act, Stern assures. But whoever orchestrated this certainly understands one thing: how to command attention.
Let's focus on the facts. Dr. Stern, can you walk us through what happened here?
Certainly. Follow me. The group now enters the museum's grand hall. Dim lighting casts dramatic shadows across the various sculptures and exhibits. Stern leads them to a roped-off area. This is where we found him, Dr. Stern mentions. Booth was suspended from that sculpture there, the one we call Ascension. It's a modern piece, meant to symbolize humanity's constant struggle against gravity, physical, emotional, and existential.
Booth certainly took that struggle to new heights.
Skinner, now is not the time. But darling, you really have the right words to lift the spirits. But maybe not in front of an officer, a FBI agent, and a museum director.
He was hanging by his arms, positioned to look like he was reaching for the sky, Dr. Stern explains. The ropes were tied intricately, almost theatrically.
I secured the scene earlier. Booth was unconscious but alive. The wounds on his torso were shallow, deliberately placed. And then, there was the message.
Arachist Kunst, which means revenge is art.
Yes, the words were carved into his abdomen, precise but not too deep, Dr. Stern says. It's unsettling, even for someone accustomed to provocative displays.
Did you check for fingerprints, footprints, mysterious fog, anything else glitchy?
We're thorough, Skinner. What we found was more interesting. In Booth's jacket pocket, a handwritten note. The true art is the art of deception.
Deception. Fitting Zach, don't you think? A crime scene rating is performance art.
That's a weird message. Something else.
Indeed, a pin shaped like a cheese wheel. It was attached to Booth's lapel. He's not known for wearing such things, so it stood out.
A curious detail. Cheese, a symbol of craft and care, aged to perfection. Zach, let's keep an eye on that. This information is already very valuable, but Dr. Stern, I can see from the look on her face that there was something else.
Your assumption does not cloud your judgment, Mr. Francis York Morgan. There's one more thing, says Dr. Stern. We have security footage. It doesn't show the whole crime, but it's better than nothing. Would you like to see it?
I would never turn down an offer like that. Lead the way.
The group is now following Dr. Stern to a small security room while they continue to talk.
A museum after hours? It's like walking into the setup of a mystery novel. All we need is a jazz soundtrack and an ominous rainstorm outside.
Or we could focus on the fact that someone nearly turned this place into a crime scene exhibit.
Focus is good, Chalmers. Focus, but also intuition. A museum holds memories. Some are loud, others whisper. We're very good listeners, aren't we, Zach?
Let's hope those whispers lead to answers. Dr. Stern, the security room is this way.
Correct, Chief. Our head of security, Mr. Norton, is already waiting for us, says Dr. Stern. He's been quite shaken by the events, but he's cooperative. This way, please. They walk into the security room, where Mr. Norton, a wiry man with glasses and a slightly nervous demeanor, sits at a console. He stands quickly when the group enters. "Oh, Chief, thank you for coming," Mr. Norton says. "And you brought company."
That's right, Mr. Norton. Skinner and Chalmers at your service. Podcasters by trade, investigators by necessity.
Mostly the podcast part, though.
I see. Well, a welcome, says Miss Norton in an uncertain way. I have to apologize in advance. There might have been some minimal disturbances to the scene before the police arrived.
Disturbances? Nobody has told me about this before.
Well, our vacuum cleaning robots, says Mr. Norton. They're programmed to clean automatically every night. I managed to stop them once I realized what had happened, but I can't guarantee they didn't affect anything before that.
Vacuum cleaning robots, you say? Fascinating little helpers. Always found their efficiency almost poetic, and move with purpose but never reveal it.
Focus, York. Mr. Norton, we need to see the surveillance footage.
Of course, right this way, Mr. Norton says, while gesturing to a small door. Dr. Stern, if you'd like to assist with the timestamps. Gladly, Dr. Stern responds. Begin at 23:45 and fast forward from there. The screen flickers as the footage begins. The museum's main hall appears, bathed in the eerie glow of emergency lights. The sculptures cast long, distorted shadows across the room.
Look at that, Zach. The interplay of light and shadow. The hall itself feels like an accomplice to the crime.
You're really leaning into the drama, huh?
Let him work, Skinner.
Oh, I'm always working, Chalmers. Don't worry about that part.
There. Look, in the corner.
A figure, hooded, moving a cart.
Not just moving, a calculated glide. Every step deliberate, every motion precise. They weren't just carrying Booth, they were composing a scene.
Is it just me, or do they look too smooth? Like they're not walking, but gliding?
An astute observation, Skinner. Their movements are almost mechanical, detached.
They brought Booth in on a cart, Mr. Norton says according to the footage. He was unconscious then, clearly already injured.
Injuries consistent with what we found at the scene.
Yes, and here's where it gets strange, Dr. Stern mentions. Watch closely. The footage continues. The figure positions Booth near the metal sculpture, carefully arranging him. Then, abruptly, the screen goes black. There was a power outage here, explains Mr. Norton. The cameras lost signal for about 15 minutes.
Convenient, I must say.
Convenient indeed, Chief, but also intentional. A deliberate cut in narrative. What better way to keep us guessing?
It's like a cliffhanger, but in real life.
Which is infinitely worse. Skinner.
The footage resumes. Booth now hangs from the sculpture, bound in vibrant, artistic ropes. The figure is seen stepping back to admire their work, their hood still concealing their face. In the background, something unusual catches York's attention.
Posit, Missy Norton, right there.
What do you see, York?
A shadow, not theirs. Look in the corner. Too angular, too. Structured.
A machine.
Perhaps, Chief. I have a feeling about this. Sometimes the smallest details carry the heaviest weight, but you always have to bear in mind that the perpetrator wanted us to see it. He, she, or them could just as easily have left the camera unplugged.
As the footage nears its end, a lone Roomba glides into view, pausing directly under the sculpture.
Ah, that was probably there when the Roomba started its automatic cleaning schedule.
Correct, but luckily we were able to stop him in time. He just blurred something a bit, Mr. Norton says.
Well, maybe that little guy is behind all this.
Aruba isn't a suspect, Chalmers.
Perhaps not, but it's a witness. And every witness has a story.
The group sits back, continuing processing the footage.
We've got a methodical perpetrator, a manipulated scene, and a cryptic message. This doesn't just stop at Booth.
You're right, Chief. This is a performance, and Booth was only the first act. The artist hasn't finished their masterpiece yet. We can feel it. Am I right, Zach?
Then it's up to us to interrupt the show.
And I hope we're not part of the final.
Zach and I will ensure that doesn't happen. Let's follow the brushstrokes, ladies and gentlemen. The answers are closer than they appear.
Our group thanks Mr. Norton and Dr. Stern for their cooperation. York now insists on revisiting the crime scene with the new background knowledge. Dr. Stern accompanies them there.
The precision of their movements is remarkable. This wasn't rushed at all. The perpetrator wanted everything exactly this way. They wanted it to be perfect.
But why? What message are they trying to send?
That's the question. Chief, every artist leaves traces of themselves in their work. We'll find them, I can assure you.
All right, York, enlighten us. What's the plan?
First, the lighting. Noticed how the shadows fall in perfectly to frame Booth on the camera footage. That wasn't accidental. They used the natural light sources here to enhance the effect.
So they knew the museum layout intimately.
Precisely. And the ropes, they weren't just props. The way they were tied tells a story. Though, Zach and I will need more time to analyze that.
And the cheese roll pin, what's the story there?
An anomaly. Whoever did this wanted us to notice it, to question its significance. We will, but it could also just be a distraction, and that could add noise to our assumptions.
The group now return to the main hall. York kneels by the bloodstains on the floor, running his fingers close, but not touching.
See the pattern. The direction of the splatter suggests movement. He wasn't placed here all at once. They adjusted him, perfected their masterpiece. This must have all happened during the power cut.
And what about the note they have left in Booth's pocket?
Deception, Chief. The true art is deception. It's a declaration of intent, a glimpse into their mindset. They thrive on misdirection, on making us chase the wrong trails.
And are we?
Not anymore. Skinner, not anymore. We've now taken the first step on the path to truth.
The scene ends as the group exchanges determined looks, ready to unravel the mystery further. Our protagonists leave the museum and travel with Skinner to the police station. As the unpleasant part of the investigation, the paperwork is now pending.
So a Roomba, an ominous cheese pin, and a cryptic stomach engraving. If this were a mystery podcast, I'd accuse a sentient charcuterie board.
Skinner, do you ever stop?
I'm just saying, we're collecting some very eclectic clues here.
Focus. Humor doesn't solve cases.
On the contrary, Chief, humor often reveals truths people overlook. A slip of the tongue, a nervous laugh. Zach and I find it all quite telling. Just like this one Roomba at the end of the camera footage.
York, please tell me you're joking about the Roomba.
Joking. No, intrigued. Absolutely. Zach and I aren't dismissing anything yet.
You and Zach, huh? That's quite the partnership.
One built on trust, Skinner, and an unwavering belief in the power of coffee.
Less coffee, more conclusions. What's your read on Booth's attacker?
The group enters the police station. York heads straight for a whiteboard while Skinner and Chalmers take seats, watching him sketch out a rough timeline of events.
Let's lay it all out. Booth was attacked and displayed like a living art piece. A cheese pin, the phrase revenge is art, and that fascinating little Roomba all demand our attention.
Don't forget the nota. The true art is the art of deception. Sounds like something a drama professor would tattoo on their forearm.
Or a psychopath trying to send a message.
Either way, they wanted us to find these things. Why?
Precisely, Chalmers. Why leave breadcrumbs unless you want someone to follow? Our perpetrator isn't hiding. They're performing, and we're the audience.
I feel honored. Or terrified, one of the two.
Booth's connection to the cheese pin. How solid is it?
Circumstantial but telling. The pin was found on Booth, but its origins are murky. Zach and I suspect it ties into the local community. Possibly a gift.
A gift who gives cheese pins as gifts.
Someone with impeccable taste, obviously.
Precisely, Skinner. And gifts carry sentiment. The pin could link our victim to someone close enough to know his routine and vulnerabilities.
And the message?
Revenge's art is layered. On the surface, it's a declaration. But deeper, it's an invitation. They want us to see their work, admire it even, before we understand it.
You're saying this lunatic wants an audience?
An audience, yes. And more. Validation. Every detail was designed to provoke thought, to make us ask the right questions.
And you think we're asking the right ones?
Well, we're getting there.
So, York, writing your memoirs already?
My first report to the HQ. It's important to keep them updated, even if Zach and I already know the next steps.
Care to share those steps?
Patience. Chief, a mystery unraveled too quickly loses its charm, don't you think?
We're not here for charm. We're here to stop someone dangerous.
Exactly. And dangerous minds are rarely simple. The next phase will require subtlety and a fresh perspective. Tomorrow, we'll dive deeper. For now, rest. Clarity often strikes when least expected.
Rest? In the middle of a case?
Even the best paintings need time to dry, Skinner. Trust me.
The scene ends as York closes his laptop, his calm demeanor both reassuring and enigmatic. The others exchange uncertain looks, unsure whether to trust York's process or question his methods further.
Well, Chief York, this has been quite the day. High-stakes crime, artistic mystery, and a Roomba cameo. Memefield never disappoints.
Disappoints. Skinner, we're standing in the middle of a mess. Booth is in the hospital. Chief narrowly escaped death, and we're no closer to answers than we were this morning.
Progress isn't always immediate, Chalmers. It's incremental.
Precisely, Chief. Incremental, like the first strokes of a painting. The picture will reveal itself in time. Just be patient.
Well, if you're looking for a masterpiece, York, you're definitely in the right town. Memefield's got layers like an onion or lasagna.
Or a municipal dumpster.
Always the optimist, Chalmers.
Optimism isn't misplaced, Skinner. Memefield's peculiarities might hold the key to this entire case. Zach and I are quite fond of peculiarities.
Speaking of peculiarities, York, do you need a lift somewhere? We've got space in the van, plenty of room for you, Zach, and a coffee or two.
Appreciate the offer, but no. I've secured a rental car and a room at the Memefield Hotel. Zach insists on the importance of independence.
Independence or solitude?
Both, Chief. Clarity thrives in quiet moments. You know best, together with your AI companion Cortana.
Well, don't be too quiet. This town's got enough mysteries without you vanishing into the night.
Speaking of mysteries, I still can't believe everything that's happened. Booth Chief, it's surreal.
Surreal, but real. That's what makes it dangerous.
Skinner and Chalmers return to their cozy living room. The familiar sound of their podcast equipment being set up creates a comforting rhythm, in contrast to the day's chaos.
And we're back, folks. Skinner and Chalmers here, live from Memefield HQ, bringing you the latest on today's, well, let's just call it an eventful day.
Eventful doesn't begin to cover it. Skinner, Booth is in critical condition. Chief narrowly escaped an ambush, and we're left with more questions than answers.
It True, but Booth's alive. He's in stable condition. The doctors emailed us. Even if he's still in a coma, that's something to hold on to.
I suppose. But who could do this? First Booth, then Chief. Who's next?
If you ask me, it's Robot Skinner. That tin, Kintaran has always had it out for Memefield.
Robot Skinner? Really? Skinner the man, or machine, hasn't been a factor since the Twitch Asylum incident.
That's exactly what he wants you to think, Chalmers. He's biding his time, probably plotting in some underground lair filled with sabotaged Roombas.
You're impossible.
That's why you love me. But seriously, Memefield isn't the kind of place where you expect something like this. Booth's all about art and expression, not vendettas. And Chief, he's practically a walking superhero. Who would dare target them?
I don't know, Skinner. And that's what terrifies me.
Well, let's leave the heavy lifting to York and Chief. They've got the skills, the experience, and in York's case, an uncanny ability to find meaning in milk swirls.
Quite an interesting chap, this York. You think he'll solve it?
No doubt in my mind. But until then, we'll keep you all updated, listeners. Same time, same place, hopefully without more chaos.
Let's hope. And for everyone out there, stay safe. Memefield might be quirky, but it's still home.
And home is where the heart and the mystery is. Until next time, folks,